Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video we're going to talk getting started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and today we're going to take a look at the Lumineth Realm Lords, and in particular the Illiatha sub-faction of the army. In this video we're going to go through, talk a little bit about what makes Illiatha special as a sub-faction. We'll then take a look at a couple of units we recommend to get started with for your Illiatha faction army. We'll then look at some other units we can use to expand upon those first couple of initial purchases with, and finally finish off the video with a little sample army list of 1,000 points for you to use as some inspiration for your own Illiatha army. Now, what exactly do we get with Illiatha, rules-wise, that makes it special? We get the cool rule where once per turn, we can say that two friendly Illiatha Venari units will use their Aether Quartz ability in the same phase instead of one. This is really cool. Aether Quartz expenditure is a major part of how the Lumineth Realm Lords work. This allows us to do a variety of different things, from casting spells to also using them to get some bonuses in fights we're in as well. And so just being able to use more of that stuff during the turn is definitely a bonus. It is a limited and finite resource though, so definitely you want to be careful when you're having to double down, making sure you are doubling down on this expenditure when it's needed most and not just because you can. Now, where do we look to begin with for an Illiatha army? And because we are going to be looking to grab Venari units in the army, I think a Venari Lord region is a great place to start. The Venari Lord region, 3 up save, 6 wounds, move 14 is really nice as well. Now, his big thing is he's got the Greater Power of High-Ish spell. He's a 1 cast and 1 unbind wizard, and this allows him to pick up to D3 friendly Lumineth Realm Lord units within 18 inch of him that then can have their Sun Metal weapons working on 5 pluses rather than 6 pluses to hit. Sun Metal weapons allow normally you to do mortal wounds on 6 to hit with the units using the Sun Metal weapons, but like I said, this will allow it to work on 5s or 6s up to D3 friendly units. This is really cool. While we do have, Power of High-Ish as a spell on many other war scrolls throughout the army that can be used multiple times, this does free up the spell casting of our units of Venari troops, allowing them to do some other things. He's also got the Purest Aether Quartz rule where you subtract 1 from hit rolls for this unit if he's attempting. And then he's also adding 1 to his casting rolls. However, if he ever spends his Aether Quartz, he will no longer have this ability. He only gets it while he's carrying around his pretty little rocks. Now, alongside this model, Venari Orland Wardens are the standard Lumineth Realm Lords troop. They have a 4 up save, 1 wound, and they've got 2 attacks each, 3s and 4s, no rend but damage 1, and a nice 3-inch range as well. Now, they have Sun Metal weapons like we've talked about, and they've got their own Power of High-Ish like we talked about before. But a lot of Venari units also have a rule called Shining Company, where we subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target this unit so long as each model in the unit is touching the base of 2 other friendly models from the same unit. On top of this, we have the Wall of Blades rule, where if the Venari Orland Wardens are ever charged, they get +1 to their wound rolls for their attacks, and +1 rend on their weapon. So some cool benefits if they are charged. A nice, great defensive unit. Looking at where we can go after this though, and Venari Orland Sentinels I think are a really fun option. They are our ranged basic troops for the army. Now they're going to have Sun Metal weapons, and they've got a couple of different ways in which they can fire their bows to get those Sun Metal damage. Now the Orland bow can be aimed for 1 attack at 18 inch range, 3s, 4s, rend 1, damage 1, or it can be lofted at a 24 inch range for 1 attack, 4s, 4s, no rend and damage 1, dropping a point to hit, so it's a 4 to hit rather than 3, and of course losing that rend on it. Now this, like the Venari Orland Wardens before them, if you have 5 or more models in the unit and the champion's alive, they will be a wizard that can cast and unbind 1 spell per turn. They've got the Shining Company, Sun Metal weapons, and Power of High-Ish rules, all the same as the Venari Orland Wardens, but they've also got the Skyhawk Lantern, where you can add 6 inches of the range characteristic of this unit's lofted Orland bows while it's within 12 inch of any friendly Sentinel units with this weapon, or it's in range of any friendly Star Shard ballistas. Now, alongside these models, I think Venari or Dawn Riders are a very cool unit to bring on. 14 inch movement, 4 up save, 2 wounds, and they've got, of course, all those normal rules we expect from Venari, like Shining Company, Sun Metal weapons, and Power of High-Ish. But they also have the ability to be a wizard as well, when they've got 3 or more models in the unit, so a little bit less models needed in the units. Now, Lancers of Dawn allows them when they charge to get some extra bonus on their wound and their rend, so unlike the Wardens, which are defensive, these are much more offensive a choice, and the Deathly Furrows allows them to get extra attacks if they're fighting models with 1 or 2 wounds. Now, we do have a named character option for this particular subfaction, and I think that's a cool bit to bring in, because it's going to benefit from all the rules, so there's not much they do benefit, but they are a named character, and they do sort of give us a little bit of the narrative for the army. This is Illiatha and Illiatha, the Eclipsean War Sages. These two twins have a variety of different rules. They are a 2-cast and 2-unbind wizard. They're on the same base. They add 1 to their casting, unbinding, and dispelling rolls. And the Realm Wanderer rules allows them to include an ally in any order army if you want to as well, but they can never be your general, and they do give you some extra command points. Now, the Altari is a cool sword wielded by Illiatha here, and it has a damage characteristic equal to the battle round. On top of this, he can once per game choose to send a sunlight searing beam across the table and do some damage to the enemies. They've also got a couple of cool rules, like sudden translocation, where at the end of the combat phase you roll a dice if there's unit 4 in that phase. If the roll is less than the number of the current battle round or less than the number of wounds allocated to this unit, heal up to d6 wounds allocated to this unit, then set it up again more than 12 inches away from all enemy units, which is pretty cool. They have their own spell as well to give themselves a nice 5-up ward save. Lastly, the Endless spells I think are a really nice bring in any Lumineth Realm Lord's army. The own Lumineth Realm Lord spells are really cool. You've got the Sanctum and the Top for some nice defensive bonuses on one of your wizards. The Heat and Twin Stones are going to allow you to get some extra magical power, boosting your own magical usage. And then the Rune of Petrification is going to deal some damage and do a little bit of control as well, with its ability to do some effects on movement and charge rolls. Now, of course, the generic Endless spells are also really nice. I think things like Ravenax, Gnashing Jaws, Purple Sun, Horrorghast all have a place in the Lumineth Realm Lord's army. You're definitely spoiled for choice when it comes to good Endless spells you can make really good use of. And so, looking at our sample army list, we've gone obviously with Illiatha, Mortal Realm, Haish for all that narrative, and then Grand Strategy defends what's ours. We don't generally have the fastest army in this particular list, so I think defend what ours is stopping our opponent being in our territory is probably the way to go. We definitely can deal a little bit of damage in this army, so I think this is probably the Grand Strategy to go with. We're 20 points under the limit, so we have gone for a Triumph or Inspired. +1 to wound could be pretty nice, especially on some of the units we've taken. A Venari Lord Regent is going to be our general. He's got Master of Magic, which will allow him to reroll 1 casting, unbinding, or dispelling roll per turn, and the Arcane Tome, which will give him an extra cast or dispel. Now, Lore of Haish, we've gone for Total Eclipse. This is just a fantastic spell that makes all our opponent's spells and all their commands rather having to cost 2 command points instead of 1. Illiatha and Illiatha in the army, I think, it's just all about the narrative for me in here. Speed of Haish on them is really nice. This gives them some extra movement across the table. Now, battle line wise, we've got 2 units of Venari Orland Wardens, and because we've got the Venari Lord Regent in the army, we've actually chosen to go with a couple of different spells, hoping, these would be the first couple of units. Potentially, we'd be trying to get that power of Haish on, but Ethereal Blessing makes one of our units ethereal, stopping all negative and positive modifiers to their save, and Protection of Haish is a nice aura of ward save. We'll then have Speed of Haish on the Sentinels, and the reason I like this on the Sentinels is generally the Sentinels are going to be playing more backfield in the game. What this is going to do is it's going to allow them to affect the game more, as they're just going to be able to late game cast this on themselves to move up in case we need to grab any midfield objectives. And spell wise, we've gone for the Rune of Petrification and Ravenax Gnashing Jaws, which will be great for helping us clear out some hordes, something we may lack in this particular army. Battalion wise, we've got Expert Conquerors. All our units here, all 3 of them are going to be in the battalion, and they're going to count as 3 models for the purpose of controlling objectives. 20 points spare, as mentioned, giving us a good chance of getting our Triumph. No reinforcements and no allies. 44 wounds and 5 drops. If you've got an idea on how to run an Illiatha army, or especially if you've got some thoughts for Illiatha and Illiatha, let us know down in the comments below. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And also drop us a comment down below letting us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come and chat more with me and other members of our community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so on our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description. If you'd like to help support the channel more, you can do so either by Patreon or YouTube members, or going to our Teespring store, all of which are linked down in the video's description as well. As a special thank you to our patrons and YouTube members, we'd like to give you all a shout out. So, a special Patreon shout out to Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lyle, Our Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cader, Derek Bloobs, Benjamin Suarez, and Red Martin. And as thank you to our YouTube members as well, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny 84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink, Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, John Castle, and Davis Wire. Special thanks also to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see on the channel, like you can see pictured here on this slide. Thank you once again for watching, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.